Crimes of the Future is a science fiction drama film released in the year 2022. The plot of the film features a future world where the human species feel no pain. A performance artist, Saul, grows new organs in his body and showcases their removal for his audience along with his partner Caprice. Meanwhile, a group tries to use Saul's name to shed light on the next phase of human evolution. Set in the future world, the film starts with an 8-year-old boy named Brecken sitting next to a lake. His mother Juna calls out to him, reminding him that he must not eat anything that he finds in the lake. The scene cuts to Brecken brushing his teeth while his mother is about to sleep. Secretly, he eats the plastic can in the bathroom. It turns out that Brecken displays the innate ability to consume and digest plastics as food. Juna notices him eating plastic and, convinced that her son is inhuman, she suffocates him to death. Filled with emotions, she informs her ex-husband, Lang, to pick up the corpse of the creature whom he calls his son. By the time Lang arrives home, Juna had already left, leaving Brecken's corpse behind. The scene cuts to a popularly known performance artist couple, Saul and Caprice. Saul is dependent on specialized biomechanical devices that help him perform everyday chores. He complains to Caprice that his biomechanical bed is not working properly, as he was unable to change sides while sleeping. Caprice informs him that she will call the Lifeform Wear Company, who manufactures Saul's biomechanical devices, to fix the bed soon. When Saul asks Caprice about his body conditions, Caprice reveals that according to the tests, his body has a new hormone in its bloodstream. Both Saul and Caprice are happy with the news. Later, Caprice takes a look at Saul's insides only to discover that his body has grown a new endocrine gland. Saul is disappointed as endocrine glands are usually small and it won't be as dramatic. It turns out that Saul has an accelerated evolution syndrome, a disorder that causes his body to develop new organs. However, the couple does not mind the syndrome and instead takes advantage of it by surgically removing the newly grown organs before a live audience. Saul asks Caprice about the artwork, and she tells him that the registry wants something uniquely self-referential. The scene cuts to Caprice having food alone in her room, and Saul eating food while he's seated on his biomechanical chair that twitches and rotates as it assists him with eating. At dawn, Caprice takes Saul to the National Organ Registry, which is a governmental office designed to uphold the state's restrictions on human evolution by storing newly evolved organs. Whippet welcomes them to the office and introduces them to one of the bureaucrats in charge of the National Organ Registry, named Timlin. Caprice asks Timlin to explain to her in easy terms the procedure used in the registry related to the newly evolved organs. Since Timlin is quite nervous, Whippet explains that the human evolution taking place around the world is alarming for governments worldwide, as they think it might lead the world to a bad place. It turns out that humankind is experiencing several biological changes. Most important among these changes is the loss of physical pain and infectious disease for most people. This has made surgery a piece of cake as it's being performed casually on conscious people in normal conditions, called desktop surgery. Timlin asks Saul whether it's true that he randomly grows novel bodily organs and gets them consistently removed. Caprice tells her that the new organs are tumors and it's vital to remove them. When Timlin finds out that Caprice removes Saul's organs as part of a performance for the audience, she asks her if she's qualified to perform surgery. Caprice reveals that she was a trauma surgeon previously at First General and has Saul's consent to surgically treat his body. Later, Whippet and Timlin are fascinated to look inside Saul. Caprice records a video of them in which Whippet talks about how the registry aims at keeping track of novel organs as they fear that some of the novel organs might establish themselves genetically and pass down from parent to children, creating inhuman humans. He speaks about the concept of registration tattoos, but just then, Timlin sees Caprice filming and she forbids her from doing so. Caprice finds them sketchy, and later she tells Saul that he should have not invited them to their performance. However, Saul finds Timlin attractive and he brushes off Caprice's concerns. Caprice is pissed at him and asks him to go to bed as the technicians have arrived to correct the misalignment. The Lifeform Wear Company's employees, Burst and Robust, arrive and fix Saul's bed. Suddenly, Robust realizes that Saul has the famous autopsy module and they are enthralled to see it. It turns out that Caprice uses the bed to perform surgery on Saul. The scene cuts to the duo's performance where Caprice controls the special surgical bed to perform surgery on Saul. As Caprice removes the newly developed organ, Saul finds solace in the procedure. The audience witnesses the surgery with utmost indulgence. After the surgery, Timlin approaches Saul, asking him if the surgery means sex to him. When Saul expresses puzzlement, she tells him that surgery is the new sex, as watching Caprice cut into him turned her on, and she wished Saul could cut into her body. The scene cuts to Robust and Burst talking to a man at a pub about Saul's body, calling him an artist of the inner landscape. They think that Saul will help promote their company into new exhilarating territory. Just then, Lang, who is also present at the duo's audience, purposely leaves a purple snack bar on the counter. When the man eats it, he ends up dying. The scene cuts to Whippet and Timlin getting interrogated by Detective Cope from New Vice, a body crime unit. Cope asks them about their recent dealings with performance artist Saul and inquires about the neo organs Saul developed and removed. Timlin tells him that Saul donated the organ to them so they can keep a systemized record of it. Whippet adds that they like discovering new species of animals. Cope asks them how a tumorous growth can be considered art, mocking their concept. He shows them a lump on his abdomen, asking if he'll be considered an artist. Timlin reveals that Caprice, Saul's performance partner, tattooed all his neo organs while they were still in Saul's body. Cope is perplexed to see the tattoo book and thinks that Caprice might be Saul's lover, but Timlin quickly clears his confusion, clarifying that Caprice is just Saul's performance partner. The following morning, Caprice finds out that Saul's body is growing another organ. She becomes worried as the interval between growth seems to be closing up. However, Saul feels creative and tells Caprice not to worry. The scene cuts to another biological performance where a man's lips and eyes are sealed and his body is fitted with multiple ears, embodying that it's time man start listening. Saul sneaks into the show where he meets Adrienne Berceau, a biomorphology coordinator. She tells him that she does not like the man with multiple ears. When she asks Saul if he knows what his body is working on, Saul expresses cluelessness. She then tells him about a cosmetic surgeon, Nassatir, whose specialty is inner beauty and with whom she's booked an appointment for Saul. The scene cuts to Saul returning home. On his way, Lang runs into him on the street and offers him the dead body of his special son on which he can perform an autopsy during one of his shows. Lang promises him that he will have many surprises during the performance and will make the show a hit. Saul does not promise Lang anything and walks home. At home, he tells Caprice about Lang's intriguing idea for a show. The scene cuts to Caprice lying naked on the Sark's autopsy module while Saul cuts into her body. It turns out that Timlin was right, and that cutting seems to be replacing traditional sex as Caprice enjoys the process pleasantly. At night, Saul again sneaks out without telling Caprice and meets Cope, who has sought Saul's help to infiltrate a group of radical evolutionists. When Saul tells him about Dr. Nassatir, Cope asks him to go to the doctor and investigate. In return, Saul asks him to let him meet Juna, a woman in captivity for the murder of her own son. Meanwhile, Caprice gets Sark's autopsy module modified. On the other hand, Saul goes to see Dr. Nassatir, who is intrigued to see him. Nassatir proposes to install a rip lock in Saul's body to give Saul maximum access to his body. Saul tells him that he has come for his political problem, to which Nassatir reveals that he will have to register for the inner beauty pageant first. The scene cuts to Saul returning home, where Caprice tells him that the Sark is coming along and that the company's employees are obsessed with the machinery. Saul shows her the zippered cavern that Nassatir installed in his abdomen. Caprice is turned on by the rip lock and uses it to access Saul's organs in an oral sex act. Later, Saul meets Juna, where she is in prison, and asks her why she killed her son. Juna explains to him that she loathed her son, and he was not a human but a creature who ate synthetic stuff like plastic and was able to digest it. She adds that the thought that she grew the disgusting creature in her body makes her want to puke. Meanwhile, Lang arrives in his cell where a purple processed candy bar of toxic waste is being manufactured. It's revealed that Lang is the leader of a group that calls themselves evolutionists and manufactures synthetic bars, thinking that it's the future. Meanwhile, Caprice attends a biological performance where she is exhilarated to see a woman's facial surgery being performed in front of an audience. She meets the performance artist, and her words motivate her to do the same. As a result, Caprice chooses to receive decorative cosmetic surgery on her forehead. Saul is shocked to see Caprice's destructive forehead. He then asks her if she is ready to take the autopsy case. Caprice agrees in a heartbeat but demands to perform the autopsy herself. Later, Saul goes to the National Organ Registry where he meets Whippet, who reveals that he is the registrar of the Inner Beauty pageant. He tells Saul that he has a very good chance of winning in this category. When Saul tells him that he really does not have anything impressive, Whippet encourages him that he must practice acknowledgement and aesthetic empowerment rather than anger and rebellion to win the pageant. Just when Saul is about to leave, Timlin runs into him. She tells Saul that she's worried about Whippet. When Saul tells her that Whippet seems to be in fine form, Timlin reveals that Whippet is playing with subversive groups. Saul is puzzled and takes the opportunity to ask her if she knows anything about digestive systems that can digest plastic and synthetic material. Timlin hesitates to tell him the truth and rather requests him if she can be a part of one of his shows. She then tries to kiss Saul, but he feels embarrassed and says he is not good at the old ways of sex. At night, Caprice and Saul go to meet Lang where he shows them his son's corpse stored in a deep freezer. When Saul asks him why he wants to get the autopsy done, Lang tells him that he wants to make a public statement. He clarifies that he did not get the police autopsy done as they would cover it up, which is why he wants to get it done in an art show. He then offers Saul the same purple processed candy bar, but Saul refuses to eat it. Lang reveals that he's able to digest the bar unlike others and once again asks Saul if he will do the Brecken show. Saul asks Cope whether he should do the Brecken show or not. Cope tells him to do the show as it will help them to prove the evolutionists wrong. Cope then reveals the agenda of the evolutionists who have chosen to modify their digestive system to make them able to eat plastics, particularly the purple processed candy bar of toxic waste that is poisonous to others. The scene cuts to Dr. Nassatir having food on his biomechanical chair. Just then, the lifeform-wear technicians, Router and Burst, arrive unannounced and end up assassinating Nassatir on his chair. On the other hand, Lang reveals to Saul and Caprice that his son Brecken was born with a plastic processing digestive system, proving the wrongness of the government's stance on human evolution. He reveals that he did an elaborate surgery to become a plastic eater before his son's birth because he realized it was time for them to make a change. After that, his son was born with the same ability. It turns out that he wants Saul and Caprice to reveal his agenda through a public autopsy of Brecken that will prove Brecken's evolved digestive system. Caprice and Saul agree to do the show. Timlin, Whippet, and many others arrive to see the show. While Saul controls the autopsy, Caprice explains Brecken's background to the audience. However, to everyone's surprise, it's revealed that Brecken's natural organ system has been surgically replaced. Devastated, Lang runs away in despair, thinking that his ex-wife did this to his son. Router and Burst approach him and heartlessly drill holes into his head, killing him on the spot. Later, Saul meets Cope, asking him how the dead boy's system was replaced. Cope admits that Brecken was actually a miracle boy born with a plastic digesting system, but he got Timlin to replace Brecken's organs to keep the unorthodoxy in human evolution hidden from the public. Saul is shocked at the revelation and informs Cope that he will no longer be working for him, admitting that he believes in human evolution. He returns home, and while he struggles to eat in his chair, Caprice brings him a bar of toxic waste. As Saul eats it, Caprice records him, and after a moment, Saul sheds a tear and dies with a smile on his face. This movie has a rating of 5.9 on IMDb. The budget of this movie was around $27 million, and at the box office, it earned $4.5 million. I hope you all liked this video. If yes, then make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.